Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we have fun talking all things hunting and in the process do our best to support small and family-owned businesses in the hunting space. Here are your hosts and resident bandits, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy folks, welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here. I'm joined as always by my intrepid co-host Richard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay, sir. To forgive me, I may be coming down with the flu.
So, or you get the allergies.
Or the allergies. This potentially could be my last podcast. We better make it good.
Right.
Yeah.
No. You'll survive.
I hope.
In this episode, I mean, I'm excited to have a guest on this one. We're honored to have with us Josh Pierre. He's the founder and owner of Rack Addiction Minerals. Welcome, Josh, to the Feed Bandit Podcast. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Great. Well, we're excited to have you here, excited to talk and learn all about your products. And, to start out, typically what we like to do is ask our guests just to have them give us a little background. So if you would, just, tell us a little bit about yourself, how and why you got into your business.
Well, I was born and raised here in southeast Louisiana. I've been hunting as long as I can remember. My grandpa actually started a hunting club back in the 70s, and my dad grew up in it, as did I. And all of the deer that was in there was a few big ones, but there was a lot of spikes, little 4 points, and I always thought to myself, we could probably grow more, and if we had the right management and food source. And about 6 years ago, I started researching online and asking biologists, about certain things. And I took their feedback and got the feedback online, and I just started mixing stuff together and trial and error, giving it away to people around the area, and they liked it. And then I started, shipping it out of state to other people just to see what it would do out of state. And it started taking off from there. And that's how Rack Addiction Minerals got started. I just, I wanted to grow my deer around here. And I've actually seen a difference in the size deer that we have on our property, because now we hunt on a 80-acre tract now. We're no longer in the hunting club no more. And the first year was 3 years ago. We got on that 80-acre tract, and I counted, I think, at least 8 or 9 spikes on camera. And this year, I had 1 spike. The rest of it was at least a 4-point or better.
Okay.
And
wow.
Granted, we don't shoot everything that walks. We have like it's just family property. It's just 5 of us family members. And this year, I killed a 5-point, and my dad killed, I believe, a 4-point. Last year, I got a doe, and that was the only deer that was killed on the property. So we do manage it. We don't, go in there and, shoot everything that walks out there. We do kind of try to manage it. But like everybody says down here, I don't know how they say it, everywhere else, but if you don't shoot it, somebody else will. But
yeah,
I just don't have that philosophy,
Right. Well, I got to say, looking at your product and I love your logo, the Rack Addiction Minerals logo. It's and the font is great and the logo is awesome. So, it's interesting. You put out some good food for the deer. And it's amazing how they stick around, right? And then more come in, and the nice ones come in when they see that. And then, of course, you're feeding good food to the deer, good minerals and whatnot. And it's amazing how that helps the antler growth, right?
Exactly. And that was the first thing that I researched. What makes up a deer's antlers? Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing that I put into the mineral. And and a lot of people don't realize, from a 1.5-year-old deer to a 3.5-year-old deer, all the minerals and supplements and vitamins and everything he takes in goes to his body. Yeah, some of it does go to his antlers, but most of it goes to his body. Now, 3.5 years on older, his body stops growing. Everything he takes in goes straight to antlers.
Okay.
So that's why I try to tell people, try not to kill your small deer. Yeah, you can do it. Just forget that some people are meat hunters. Go ahead and get that first one out the way. You're done. Then you can start hunting horns. Hunt your mature deer. That way you can actually see your deer grow. Because if you keep killing or shooting your smaller deer, you'll never have anything on your property.
Sure.
Interesting.
And
Josh,
that's just from what I got.
Yeah. How do you guys present your product out there in the field? I mean, when we'll talk about this here momentarily, but when we were doing some trials for you here in Texas, we put along a piece of limestone, that way it didn't, if it rained, which it hadn't in 2 months at that point, it wouldn't have soaked into the ground. But do you recommend putting in the dish or a feeder, or is it something that you just recommend throwing on the ground and then they end up like trenching it out and stuff like that? What are your thoughts on that?
That's what they typically do on our property. We don't have a lot of dead stumps. That's what I really recommend, is putting on a dead stump. I just directly pour it on the ground. I've tried it in feeders. I've had other customers try it in feeders, and it don't work out too well because if moisture gets to it, it kind of gums up.
Right.
So at least on the ground, it'll soak in. It'll because mainly it's a granulated mineral, so
right.
Most of it's going to melt away.
Right.
So then, like you said, they'll trench a hole. They're going to get to it, and
right.
That's how I recommend putting it on a dead stump. I had a customer in Tennessee put it on a dead stump last year, I think around March, and I think he said it's a 4-foot wide hole now, and it's 2 foot deep.
Wow.
Yeah. And they can actually go on the page. They can go on the Rock Addiction Mineral Facebook page and see it. Now, they probably have to scroll down a little bit since it was last year.
Right.
But he actually did a video of the stump, and he took pictures of it from beginning till they started eating it away.
Oh,
and
cow.
yeah, and he actually said one of his friends killed a nice buck off of that stump this year. Because in Tennessee, you can't bait deer. So
right.
he had to stop doing it during deer season. But he said every time deer would keep coming back to that site. Even though there was nothing there, they kept
right.
coming back to that site.
Sure.
Wow.
That's fantastic. So Josh, what do you recommend as far as your product concerned, as far as, when do you put it out? Do you, like, for example, here in Texas, our kind of the big date for us is January 1. Most of the deer seasons are over here. Well, that's not true. In the middle of January, they're really over, and so people start filling up their protein feeders, and they start putting their mineral out. And typically a lot of folks will keep it from January till about August, when the antlers are fully developed and the does and the fawns are weaned. Is that kind of what you guys recommend, or is it a year-round type thing while we're legal, I should say?
Well, I try to tell customers it's based on, I guess, what area you would be in. Here in Louisiana, our season, where I hunt at, they divided up in areas. Our season ends January 31st.
Okay.
There's other areas in the state that doesn't end until February 15th.
Okay.
The bucks don't start dropping antlers until maybe mid-March toward the end of March.
Right.
So I recommend, if you're in Louisiana, you can start doing the mineral regimen, I would say, around March. As soon as they start dropping antlers, go ahead and start putting it out. And I typically tell them to keep going until September, because they don't shed their velvet until toward the end of September.
Right.
Now, you go up north, well, they probably already shedding horns right now, because I think I've seen on Facebook posts people's already shed hunting already.
Yeah. I was going to say,
yeah,
it's all over Instagram right now. This a bunch of folks in Illinois and Indiana and all that. It looks like the bucks are already, if they haven't frozen to death, they're starting to shed their antlers. Boy, I tell you, it makes. We were talking to a gentleman last night from a company in Indiana, and boy, he was telling us that I think he said that at his office, it was like 45 below.
Yeah,
I
that was the
said,
coldest he said it got.
yeah, yeah. I said, us Southern boys, we would literally die. Even with the jacket on, we would die.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yes, yes. I wouldn't even step outside. I would call in work, say, oh, nope, I can't come in.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that I guess rack addiction, the mineral came around just as a trial and error and whatnot. How many years do you think it took you to do the trial and error to get it to the formulation it is now, to kind of perfect it?
It took me roughly about 2 years to get it to where how I liked it, because I didn't expect it to do this. I wasn't going to make a business out of it. Actually, I had a couple family members and friends tell me, you ought to make a business out of this. You can, sell this and help people out, throughout the United States. And I said, you really think so? He said, yeah, you could do it. I said, okay, well, let me perfect it some more. Let me make sure this is actually going to work before I go, public with it. And I just, started tinkering with it, and kept putting it out, and eventually it got to where I liked the results of it. The deer kept coming to it, and I haven't had a customer tell me that it took over 3 days for the deer to find it.
Right. Wow. Well, I know when we did our testing, it was, oh heck, I don't think it was days, man. I think we were talking hours. They were on it, and they absolutely wiped it out. And I know we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So, that's fantastic.
And that's what I like, for customers to come back. And I even tell customers, if it don't work, come back and tell me anyway. I change something,
right,
just for your typical area. I want people to actually use this. If I have to change a certain ratio so your deer in your area will like it, then I'll do it, because I want it out there. And
sure.
I don't badmouth other companies or anything like that. I try to tell people, you can use whatever you use,
right,
but I let the mineral speak for itself.
right.
You can try it out and give me feedback on it. And
right.
if it works for you, that's good. If it don't, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to say, it's better than everything on the market.
Sure.
I guarantee there's somebody better than me on the market.
Sure.
Do you find that deer in certain areas, I don't know whether it's north and south or even east to west or whatever, that they do prefer different ratios of the nutrients in there?
I would say so, because it does it on my property.
Okay.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's just 80 acres.
Okay, so it's
interesting.
Yeah,
so
because I feel that if there's enough, because a deer knows what to take in. Okay, it's just like any other living being. Like, we know what to take in, we know what not to eat, what to eat. Same with a deer.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how much protein, how much calcium, how much vitamins. He knows how much to take in.
Okay.
So, like, say on 40 acres of our property, they might have all that stuff just growing wild.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not hit the mineral as hard as the other 40 acres will. And I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen it for 2 years now. I put it out in one spot, they hit it hard.
Right.
And I go put it out, I don't know, 1,000 yards away or, 800 yards away, and they barely touch it.
Well, I guess that's kind of what you're describing indirectly is kind of the definition of like supplemental feeding, right? So if just depends on what kind of natural, nutrients the deer can find on the property, will really dictate, how much they need to go to, a mineral or a feed or something like that. And also I would imagine, obviously it goes to, has there been a drought there, and things of that nature. If it's abundant in a lot of nutrients at that time, then maybe they'll hit it less. But if it is a drought where there's not so much out there, then they'll want to obviously supplement their diet with something like this a whole lot. So I guess there's just a ton of factors that can go into it, and like you said, it could be property to property.
Exactly. And I did find out from a customer up north. I think he was in Pennsylvania. He had spikes, does. He had the small bucks on camera. He says he's been hunting this property for 3 years, and he just tried it for the first time last year. He put it out. 3 days later, he had a 6-point, 8-point, 2 8-points, and I think a 10-point on camera.
Oh, wow.
And they was eating them in there. He said he planted food plots every year, and he would, like I said, he would only get small spikes and does and everything else. And that's what I like. That's what I tried to base the mineral off of too. And it's not just for bucks. It's for all sizes of deer. It's for does. It's for yearlings. It's for all sizes. And I've actually had fawns just got weaned off their mama still eating it. And it actually helps with pregnant does. It actually gives them the nutrition that they need to keep the fawns healthy. So it's an all-around mineral, and it's not just for bucks. And that's what I tried to, to make. That way it's just not centered around bucks. You're doing your whole entire deer herd.
Right. No, I was going to say, as far as the when you like, for example, the gentleman who had that you were talking about in Tennessee that had the stump, Josh, when do you know where you need to go out there and replenish it? Because I mean, probably to us, deer go out there and they get in there for, a day or so. And it's probably to us, it's just like mud, but to them, there still could be stuff there. Is there a certain
rule of
amount
thumb or something?
Yeah. Like a rule of thumb for refreshing a mineral site, because obviously, you don't want to lose any precious time, growing antlers. So, is there a rule of thumb for replenishing a mineral site?
I typically do. I was making the 5-pound bags, which I make 10-pound bags now, so it kind of goes a little further, and people can do different mineral sites with one bag now. I typically do roughly about every 2 weeks. I will go in there and refresh all my sites. I will put a whole 10-pound bag out at each site. That way, I know for a fact it's going to be there, and they're not going to come wipe it out in one night.
Right.
I tend to try, and not necessarily stump. If you have a dead log,
right.
You can pour it on a dead log and they'll eat it. I've actually had customers send me a video of the deer, chewing on the bark.
Right.
Now, granted, they don't eat the whole thing, but it's just like any other animal. They're gonna chew on stuff to get the nutrients out of it.
Right.
And
right.
It's better when it rains. I typically tell people, right after it rains, the ground's kind of moist, so it's going to help it kind of absorb a little bit.
Right.
I've actually seen customers come back, and I tried it myself. I put it out, and like 2 days later, they come a rainstorm, and the deer still be on it. It's not like a regular feed, like, say, rice bran or something like that. At least down here, if rice bran gets wet, then we're going to have a whole bunch of hogs.
Yeah. Boy, we must be on the same wavelength here, because I was just about to ask you, what has been have you had any issues with the hogs? Are they attracted to mineral at all? And the reason why I'm curious about that, obviously Texas, much like Louisiana, is just infested with them. But, when we were trialing out the product that you graciously sent to us in the summer, Josh, the pigs didn't have a chance to get to it, because the axis deer, the black buck antelope, and a couple of whitetail wiped it out. So I'm curious, how do the pigs like it?
Well, in Louisiana, they don't care for it too much.
Huh. That's one of the few things they don't like?
Yeah, and I was shocked too. When I first started putting it out, and we had, I think, about 6 hogs on our property, and I really don't care too much for them. Now, I like them as far as, eating, but as far as on the property, I don't like them because they root everything. They mess up your food plots and everything else. I feel sorry for you guys in Texas. I really do. And now we're down to 2 hogs. I've only had 2 hogs on camera this year. And once, on our property alone, once I start putting the minerals out, they leave.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, that's all the better for the deer, to get to
exactly.
it. That's good. Yeah.
And I did a test because I used to work offshore. Now I work at a home job. It ain't a home job, but I work in construction now, so I'm home every night. I'm not gone for a month at a time no more. I actually had my dad do an experiment on our property up there. Because plus he ran out of mineral and couldn't put no more out, and I wasn't at home to make any more. He said, well, I'm going to go ahead and put out some corn. I said, all right, well, go ahead. You got to do what you got to do. And the hogs swarmed back in. And I mean, they was going for 2 weeks as long as he was putting out the mineral. Then soon as he stopped putting out the mineral and started putting the corn out, the hogs come back in.
Really?
Well, I tell you what, though, thinking about it, that could be one of your biggest selling points. Because, if the deer and all those type of animals really love it that much, but the hogs don't, then, I mean, that's great. You're not spending a lot of money to feed hogs when you don't want to.
Yeah.
Your money is going straight to where you want it to go, and that's into the deer.
But the downside is it does not work in Texas.
Yeah, except for Texas, I guess.
I've had it tested.
Yeah, maybe if the deer get there first, though, I don't know.
Yeah, we wouldn't be that lucky.
Yeah, I've actually had, I think I have 2 staff members, because I have a small pro staff. I have 2 staff members from Texas, and they put it out, and they said the hogs swarmed it. And I've got pictures of like 15, 20 hogs on it. One guy, he does help out to where he put a fence up around his feeder. That way the deer can jump in the fence and eat, and the hogs can get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of helps with that. But my other guy, he just has a regular feeder, and he said every time he puts it out, the hogs demolish it.
I guess one could hope someday. I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
But I am working on something, though. I am working on something. Me and my guy from Texas, we are working on something which it'll come out eventually, I guess. It was his idea, since he's from Texas, but it's going to be more toward for a hog.
Okay.
It's being tested right now. He's actually testing it on his property. We kind of put our heads together and came up with a mix and everything. And I bury it in the ground so the deer can't get to it. And he buried it 2 foot in the ground. This is the first trial. He actually gave some to somebody else, so I'm waiting to hear results back from that. But it took a day, and the hole was dug up.
Wow, 2 feet down, and they dug it up in a day.
Well, that's got to be in East Texas, because where we hunt, 2 feet down is solid rocks. So is 2 inches down. Oh, man. Well, it's funny. You see there. I remember, when the Texas hog epidemic really became, a big deal. They started kind of making products for hogs, and you don't see a lot. So I mean, at least let's put it this way. I haven't seen a lot of product lately, at least, when I go to Academy or even Walmart, I'll see like Hog Wild, and that was about the only thing I see. And hogs have become, obviously they're a huge nuisance, but they're, the meat's incredible, especially if you know what you're doing. So, for example, we got a good buddy of ours on our place. He'll kill a whole slew of them. He'll debone the ham. He'll put in a brine for 2 weeks. And then he takes it to a butcher shop where they get after it with a little slicer, and it's the best darn thing you ever put in your mouth. It's a wild hog. So I think you really got something, when it comes to, bringing in hogs. I mean, that sounds ludicrous to say, but I think there's a market for it, no doubt.
And people love it. I know people that actually loves to hunt hogs. Me personally, no. I don't want nothing to do with them,
Yeah.
But if I would go out of state to go hunt them, yeah, by all means, I'll go do it, because I love wild hogs.
Sure.
I shot a wild hog on our property this year. It's about a 50-pound wild hog, and, we quartered it up, and we ended up making sausage patties out of it and everything.
Sure.
And it's anything coming from the great outdoors, it's good food to me.
Amen, my friend. Amen on that. Yeah, we typically on the place that we hunt, deer season wise, when it's all said and done, we probably end up killing in the neighborhood of 50 to 80 of them sometimes. And we've got a bunch of circle traps out there, and occasionally we'll catch whole sounders. And it's a lot of work, and you're really whooped. But like you say, the meat's good, but they can sure screw up a deer hunt. That's for sure.
Oh yes, indeed.
So, do you have any other products in the pipeline other than the hog one?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna, since y'all tested it on the exotics, and y'all was the first one to get tested on the exotics, I believe. Well, there was one guy that tested it in Mississippi on red stag, and he said they tore it up too. But besides y'all two, y'all was the only people that tested on the exotics. Now, I would like to get some more to y'all. That way we can see if there's any growth in anything. You know, if you see any difference, you know, in the antler growth or in the body size or anything.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Well,
that way we can actually see if it works.
Sure. I tell you what, Josh, the timing of this is incredibly good. So I've got some product that you shipped to us a couple of weeks ago. Assuming I don't come down with the ravenous flu here this weekend, we're going to put it out, and it actually works out pretty good because a couple of our axis deer are just breaking into velvet right now. I mean, they just got little nubs. So and if you go to the blog, you know, that's on our website, you can see the pictures of a couple of the big axis bucks pounding it. So you know, hopefully we'll get some more results. And we go out this weekend, we're going to put more out.
And that actually is the fall mix that I sent y'all. It's no different than the spring mix. It just has a little bit of flavor and add to it and corn. That's the only difference. So even the fall mix that I make still has the nutrients and everything to keep giving the deer year-round nutrients.
Right.
Okay. And now, why do you add that to it for the fall as opposed to the spring?
Yeah, it's just like in Louisiana and in Texas and basically all your southern states, you can feed year-round. Mm-hmm. You know, you can actually bait deer. So I try to help people out by giving them. You're giving them corn because a lot of people around here feed corn, but you're actually giving them nutrients, giving them vitamins, giving them minerals. You know, you're actually helping your deer herd, and not just giving them fatty food. Because that's all corn is fat.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, like say with the spring mix, I've actually had a couple of customers tell me, well, I'm gonna mix it with some corn. I said, no, don't do that. I said, to me, from what I found out from all my research and from me trial and error, that corn is not very good in the summer months for any kind of animal because it's fattening. They don't need anything with a lot of fiber and nothing like that. They need like protein, they need calcium, they need vitamins. You know, they need something to help them stay healthy. So I tell them, don't mix it with corn at all. Now, if you want to do it with a fall mix, go right ahead. I recommend mixing the fall mix with more corn. That way, it'll last longer because they tear it up just like they do the spring mix.
Well, I was going to say ours didn't. I mean, like I say, ours didn't last more than like 2 days. So,
and that's what I try to tell people. You know, a lot of people mix corn with everything. I said, well, the deer are coming to it just because of the corn. You know, and I said mine doesn't have any corn in it. I said it's stuff that's actually grown. You know, it's not no harmful chemicals. It's nothing like that. And I actually had a guy come to me and ask me, did I put Kool-Aid in my stuff? And I said, no. I said, that Kool-Aid isn't made for, you know, animals. I said, it's made for us to drink. You know?
Well, and I don't even think we should be drinking it.
Right.
True.
Yeah. Me personally, I don't drink Kool-Aid, but
no, I don't either.
And I'm definitely not going to put it in my deer feed.
No.
You know? So I told him, I said, no, it's actual stuff that's grown. You know, you can actually. I go to a co-op here locally, and that's where I buy it from. It's from an actual feed store.
Well,
so it's you know, I try to stay local. That way, you know, it helps my local area. I keep them in business and everything, and I know it's grown here in Louisiana.
Yep.
You know, well, some of it's probably shipped in.
Yep. You're speaking our tune, my friend. That's kind of one of our underlying missions here is to keep it local, you know, support the local feed stores. That's something that's near and dear to our heart. So we commend you for that. Because let's face it, you could probably, even with shipping, you might be able to find a another supplier and somewhere else that may get it to you cheaper even with shipping. But we appreciate you keeping it local, man. That's the way to go for sure.
And I try to do that. I think we have, I believe, 4 or 5 feed stores within like a 45-minute radius of where I live.
Beautiful.
And I try to use all of them.
Beautiful.
I might use one week, and then
Sure.
I go to the next one and get from them. I just don't stick with one feed store.
Sure.
I kind of branch out and use all of them. And actually, 2 of them carry the minerals.
Right. Oh, that's even better. That's even better. That's a great story. I love it.
And you're down in Bush, Louisiana. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It's Southeast Louisiana.
Southeast Louisiana. Okay. All right.
Yep. I'm about an hour and a half north of New Orleans.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, hey, Josh, tell me, and I don't know, when you were doing your development and all that kind of stuff. We see a lot of mineral blocks, like the rock come to mind. Why did you decide to go with a granular form as opposed to an actual solid piece of product?
Well, I tried the blocks, and it didn't work out for me. They take forever to melt away, and a lot of the blocks, if you read on the back of a lot of the blocks that you find in like Tractor Supply, Walmart, Academy, it's mainly salt.
Interesting.
I mean, it's like 80%, 70% salt. Even some of them I've seen like 95% salt.
Okay.
Interesting.
Wow.
The one good thing about my mineral, it has less than probably 30% salt.
Wow. Now
So
that's interesting because you're not the first feed producer that we've heard that mentioned the excess amount of salt and the excess amount of filler, in their products. So that's very interesting.
And that was what I wanted. I wanted to be different. I didn't want to be the same as everybody else.
Sure.
I went and looked at Academy, looked at Walmart, looked at everybody's products. First thing I did was flip it over and look at their ingredients, look what they had, and I said, well, I can do something better. I can actually do something that actually helps the deer. Because salt is just like us, it's kind of bad for us.
Right.
Which deer do love salt. I've seen people take a box of salt that you buy at the store and pour it on the stump. And they say, oh, yeah, they swear about it. They love it. I said, but it's not doing nothing for them.
Sure.
As soon as they get done with it, they're going to find a water hole somewhere.
Right. Right.
Well,
we put out on the place that we hunt, we put salt out. I'll go get a cattle sodium block, and I'll get a sledgehammer, and I'll break it up into chunks, and I'll put it out at our protein stations, just a little piece, typically around spring green up, because I did read that they do they do crave salt sometimes. Some time of the year when they've got an excess amount of greenery, something with their kidneys. We don't claim to ever be very technical on this show, so, but that's what I've heard. So, but yeah, no, an excess amount, like you say, could do them some harm.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't want to do. I wanted to be, like I said, I wanted to be different. And like I said, I'm not bad mouthing anybody, but I just wanted to be different from everybody else. I wanted to have my own little deal.
Sure.
I didn't want to copy anybody or anything like that, and I wanted to do something that actually, would help the deer herd. And that's what I'm trying to succeed right now. Granted, it ain't taking off, I guess, like it should, but Rome wasn't built in one day.
Well, that's true. Well, that's what we're here to help you try to do.
Absolutely.
Get the word about you out there to our listeners, and get the rack addiction minerals in front of people.
Yep.
And people can actually see if people watch the Pursuit channel. I actually sponsored a show that's going to be on the Pursuit channel. I think it airs in April.
Cool.
It's called Rut Life TV. They actually killed, I think, 3 bucks on camera, on video, over the minerals.
Nice.
And one of them, I think, had over 20-inch spread.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. You said that was called that shows Rut Life TV on the Pursuit channel. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Sir. Great. I'll try to find that and link to it in the show notes page.
Yeah.
Be sure to remind people about all that.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
very cool.
they can. I think it's going to air in April, I believe. I think
Okay.
he said, so that everybody can look at it, and they tried me out. They was actually sponsored by another company, and I sent him, a couple bags for him to try out, and he said it really worked, and so I sent him some more just so it wouldn't be one of them little fluke deals, and
Sure.
and he called me and said, actually, that I want to sponsor him, and he liked how I did things, that I was, an outdoorsman, I was Christian, and I sounded like I was, the right person. I was down to earth. He said, I think you'll be a good fit. I said, well, let's go with it. And
I love it.
It's been a partnership, family deal ever since.
That's a great story. You don't hear too much of that, anymore. Unfortunately, the almighty dollar and the corporate lifestyle's kind of taken over that. So that is very refreshing to hear.
Exactly. And I actually had 2 days ago. I actually had a guy from Karina send me an email too.
Oh,
wow! All right. Well, yeah. You never know.
So, yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from him. So he approached me. He actually went to that local feed store. Nice. He is the sales manager for the Gulf States, is what I've got from him so far. But he actually lives here in Bush, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, our world.
Yeah, he's been working for Purina for 26 years, and he went to that local feed store and bought the last bag that they had, and he said he can't wait to try it out, and he's supposed to get with me to give him some more to try out, and I guess discuss other things. So kind of excited to see where that takes us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely!
Right. You never know where that'll lead.
Boy, talk about a dream job. Oh my! I mean, I'd be the happiest person there. My wife would be like, "Hey, are you coming home?" No, I'm not coming home. I gotta travel around. I gotta travel around Texas in my pickup truck and my boots and jeans and talk about deer and feed and mineral all day. I mean, boy, life's rough. Oh, I love it.
And that is my goal. My goal is to get this business going to where this is my business. This is my baby. This is what I'm going to do. That way, because that was the whole deal about me working offshore. I never was home. I was gone 9 months out the year. I missed birthdays, Christmases. I missed it all. I missed my son's first day of school. And which he's 5 now. He'll be 6 in September. Which he loves that I'm home now. He loves that I'm home every night. Sure. And that'll be even more blessing if I can get this thing going to where it's a full-time deal, to where this is all I'm doing.
Sure.
And it's like a lifelong dream, because I'm a very, very avid outdoorsman. Yep. I've been hunting since I was a kid. I've had my son been hunting with me since he was 2 years old. My wife, she comes every now and then, but I don't force her to go. But
yeah.
When it's not too cold, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Too cold, too early.
Or too hot.
But I can tell my son I'm going hunting. He said, all right, let's go. He's ready to go, and that's what I love, because that's the way I was when I was a kid. I wanted to go. When I was a kid, we did a lot of dog hunting. Like we used dogs for deer hunting, and that was a dying breed now, because a lot of places around here, they don't even do it no more. And that's what I love to hear, growing up, hear people talking on the CB radios, and, everybody had their little handles, and I mean, I loved it,
You're basically spelling out my early childhood too. That's, it's amazing. It's amazing how those memories stick with you. And one of the things we talk about here on these podcasts, and we write about a lot, is the children. And I'm so glad that you're getting your son involved, because, hey, let's face it, man, the kids, and we've said it a billion times, they're the future. And if they like it and they love it, they're going to be as passionate as you are when it comes to doing it, but defending it as well.
That's it.
And so that's really a great thing. So hey, you said something that had nothing to do with feed, but I've always wanted to ask somebody, because I am familiar with the whole offshore, working on a rig and all that. Question for you is this: I know y'all do shifts out there, a couple of days or weeks or whatnot. Did you ever bring fishing gear with you?
Okay. Well,
I've
let me
always
rephrase
wanted
that.
to know.
Well, let me rephrase that. I actually say offshore because a lot of people that doesn't know about the oil industry don't know what a tow. They don't know what a towboat is.
Okay.
Do you know what a towboat is?
No, I know what a tugboat is. The same thing, same family.
Yeah, basically, all it is, we push barges up and down the rivers.
Oh yeah. No, totally. Yeah.
All right, that's what I did. But I still tell
Okay.
people offshore because they think it's offshore. But
Okay.
I was actually inland, so I went all the way up to Chicago. I went to
Oh, wow.
Brownsville. I went, everywhere.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't go
No,
up to
that's
Chicago.
perfectly fine. That's perfect. Oh yeah, it's cold up there.
Yes.
Like you were saying, those Southern boys don't know how to act a little like that.
That's right. That's great.
I was bundled up from head to toe. I looked like that little kid off of that movie, The Christmas Story. He couldn't hardly walk.
Yeah. Right. You couldn't put your arms down. Oh, it's fantastic.
Exactly. But yeah, I will bring my fishing pole, or sometimes leave it on the boat when I would get off. And oh yeah, every time we had downtime, I would definitely fish.
Oh, I believe it. Lord of mercy. Yeah, I mean, if you were stuck somewhere there in the Gulf, I'd have my crabbing gear and my fishing gear, and if the company permitted, 30-pack of beer, boy, we'd have ourselves a good time. But yeah, no, that's I've always wanted to ask that, so I'll check it off my list.
Yeah, it's definitely it was fun fishing, especially over there. And I think we was in either Corpus. Or it might have been in Houston.
Okay.
But we was fishing over there, and it was in between Beaumont and Houston. I think it was called Bolivar, which was
the Bolivar Peninsula. You bet.
Yeah. We was right there, held up for weather, and waiting on dock space. And our captain actually told us, "Well, y'all get the day off. You have to do whatever y'all want."
Oh.
I said, "All right, well, cool. I'm going fishing." So
yeah.
I just stood outside the boat, started fishing, and we ended up catching a whole bunch of redfish, flounder, and then he said, "Well, y'all can drop the skiff, which is a little flat boat," and he said, "Y'all can go on the side of those barges over there if y'all want to." I said, "All right." Man. He said, "Well, y'all can take my cast net over there too and catch some shrimp for bait if y'all want to." So we sat over there in the skiff the whole time. I mean, we was burnt from head to toe because we was out in the direct sun, but it was fun though. I had a lot of good memories out there. And it was fun. It was really fun. But as soon as my son come along, it just wasn't fun no more. I mean, it got to where I didn't want to leave, him and being gone 28 days. And it definitely ain't for everybody.
Oh, yeah. Well, Josh, I will tell you this. Jimmy and I and our loyal and dedicated following, we will do what we can to try to make your product successful. Like I said, we've got some more that we're going to trial, get some more pictures for you, assuming I don't die of the influenza that potentially could be coming. So I am excited, my friend. And again, we appreciate your time, and we appreciate you sending us the mineral for sure.
I definitely appreciate it. And like I said, I can send y'all some more. That way y'all can keep trying it out and try to put it on the ground this time and see where it happens.
Okay, we will do that.
Instead of putting it on a rock, that way see if it absorbs and see if you end up with a hole a couple months from now.
We will do that. I'm making myself a note right now.
All right.
Well, or if you got a rotten stump.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Josh, so much for coming on the Feed Bandit podcast. I learned a lot. I know our listeners did, and we really appreciate your time.
I definitely enjoyed coming and talk to y'all. It was definitely a blessing. I'm glad y'all contacted me to come on y'all show.
All right, sounds good, and we will definitely stay in touch.
I definitely appreciate it, buddy.
Okay,
take care, sir.
Take care. Y'all too, bud.
Okay, folks. Well, that was Josh Pierre, founder and owner of Rack Addiction Minerals. You can follow Rack Addiction Minerals on their Facebook page at Rack Addiction Minerals. Instagram is also at Rack Addiction Minerals. And go over to their website, rackaddictionminerals.com, and there you can buy their mineral product, the Rack Addiction mineral product there. He sells it, currently it's in 5 and 10 pound bags. the mineral spring mix. So go over there and get you some, try it out, and see if you have the kind of success we've had so far at Rancho Bandito. And Richard, it sounds like we're going to be doing some more testing.
I'm excited, man. It's funny. I'm actually looking at one of our blogs that we did, which is at feedbandit.com / rack addiction minerals product review / and I think I said that right. But you can go to our blogs and find it. And it's kind
and I'll link to it in the show notes.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. So no, it's kind of funny. It's kind of bringing me back. When we first did this testing of this product, it was just so dry. Golly, I mean, we hadn't had any rain in probably a month and a half. And I remember putting this product out, and it was wiped out. I mean, clean.
I remember you texting me. You were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
gone. Didn't last long.
It's absolutely gone. And again, the exotics absolutely tore it up. And it's funny. I'm actually looking at a picture of a black buck antelope fawn sitting in the middle of the pile, which it's just, that's just rude, but still fun. I got a picture of a whitetail and an armadillo, believe it or not. So, and the exotics as well.
This next test, excuse me. I have a feeling we should put it a little further out on the property, get a little different kind of clientele and see what it's like. I'm sure they'll love it just as much.
Oh, I have no doubt. Well, I tell you what, that's actually a really good idea. And I've, depending on, I got to check the box, see how much he was gracious enough to send us. But yeah, no, we can do 2 little tests. That'd be really cool. I mean, it's actually been one of my goals to set up, some mineral stations that were located near some water sources that I know are still plentiful, quote unquote, in the miserable summer months.
Right.
So yeah, okay. Again, if I don't die of the influenza, I think we've got ourselves a plan here. I like it.
Well, so you said that about 3 or 4 times. I'm starting to get nervous.
Nervous? I know. Well, I'm just saying it so it doesn't come true.
It's like negative reinforcement.
Yeah, I mean that normally works for my weight. I'm like, man, am I fat? And I'm like, well, I'm not turning skinny. So, I'm hoping that it'll prevent me from getting it. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
And knock on wood and all that.
Absolutely. Doing it.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else before we sign off tonight?
I think that's it. It's February, folks. Them protein feeders ain't going to fill themselves.
And those predators aren't going to shoot themselves.
That's right. And those hogs aren't going to shoot themselves as well.
That's right.
We were talking about those motherless hogs that are out there. And a quick update for you. Rancho Bandito, just a bunch of hogs still. Something has happened. I don't know.
Population explosion?
Yeah, the Ellis Island for pigs has opened up, and they're coming. So anyway, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm in the market for some more pork and some more ribs. So
sure. Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was a fun one. I just want to thank Josh Pierre, founder and owner of Rack Addiction Minerals, again for coming on the podcast. And folks, you can see their products over at rackaddictionminerals.com. Check it out and be sure to get you some and try it out on your land. And let us know how it goes as well. Let Josh know, but let us know too. So it's very interesting. And then with that, I guess just wish all you guys a good one. I'll sign off here. You got anything, Richard? You want to say
nope.
bye?
I think that's it. See you, folks.
Let's say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you want to find new and innovative hunting gear and service providers not typically offered through the traditional big box hunting stores, come on over and join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join. When you join, as a bonus, you'll get our entertaining free e-guide of unique hunting tips and tricks. And a reminder to all you small businesses, feed stores, gear inventors, or entrepreneurs in the hunting space, if you'd like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast, please let us know. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. Go to feedbandit.com/promote. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, as it would really help us out. Go to feedbandit.com/iTunes. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, please remember to support your local feed store.